14 days in a row. Let's keep it rolling. If you guys want me to quit these daily videos, comment below and say, shut the fuck up, Connor. Epic day, strength session this morning. It's all coming along well. Today we're going to talk about plyos. So when I played soccer, we used to do plyos all the time, like literally probably even twice a week we would do some sort of plyometric drills at soccer, and that's really cool. But when I started running, I did literally none of it. And so now I'm going to change that and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, because you can really mess yourself up if you do it wrong. So like, comment, subscribe, all that shit. And also soon these hats are going to go on sale, but the only problem is that I thought building a website would be easy, and it actually is the biggest pile of shit ever processed to do. It makes no sense. Okay, pliers. So this topic kind of reminds me of this one study that I read many years ago. I can't remember the name of the study, but it was by, I think, Dr. Lee Brown, and it was all about baseball bats. So what they did is they had this study, okay, and they had baseball hitters, baseball batters, baseball batters, and they were looking at how powerfully they could swing the bat. And so what they did is they took this bat and they added weight to it, and then they measured the actual force that they could produce after using this bat. And then what they did is they underweighted the bat. Try and guess which bat actually was the one that produced the most force when they went back to the normal bat. You'd think it would be the heavier bat, but it's not. It's actually the underweighted bat, because the problem with moving really fast is that the rules are completely different to moving really slow. And if you treat it like a normal resistance training exercise, you're gonna do terribly. So yes, thank you, Dr. Lee Brown, for teaching me that wonderful fact that I never thought that I'd ever be able to use until now. That knowledge was not lost on me. Thank you so much. So imagine that you deadlift something off the floor. That's requiring, maximal strength, okay? And as you take the weight off, for the same effort, you can actually increase the speed in the way that you move that weight until you get to the point where you're at your body weight and you can move really fast. And that is activating reactive strength rather than maximal strength. And we call those kinds of things plyometrics, the ability to move very fast. Because the longer that you're touching the ground, the more chance that you have of actually losing speed. We want to be in the air for as long as possible. Look at people like Eliud Kipchoge. He basically spends no time at all on the ground. He just snaps off and gets going. So we have to get really good at snapping off the ground, just like Eliud. And like, this plyometric stuff is super potent for runners. Like, the last time that I looked at the research, there was a protocol that they were doing on 5K runners, and their times were improving by like 170 to upwards of 300 seconds improvement in their 5K time just by adding in plyometrics. It's insane. But the problem is that they're hard, and you've got to slowly build into them. So phase 1 of plyometrics is actually preparing the body to actually do plyometrics. And this is what we're gonna do to start with, because you can very quickly get injured doing this stuff. So I'm gonna take this strap and we're gonna put it like that. Okay, so firstly, we're gonna start using this to take a little bit of body weight off our body. That's gonna make starting plyometrics a little bit safer and easier to build ourselves into. Remember though, that bat experiment that I told you about earlier, taking weight off actually helps you to move a little bit faster, which is going to help with that reactive strength. You're just gonna get a little bit of the benefit rather than the full benefit of using just your body weight, okay? Okay, so all we're gonna do is hold this to our chest. 5 reps, nice and slow, using the band to take as much weight off the body as we can. 5 reps, give yourself a 30-second to 1-minute break, and then go again. We're gonna do this 3 times, and we're gonna do it twice a week. That's gonna be phase 1, and it's probably gonna last around 6 weeks. I'm gonna map this whole plyometric process on the whiteboard later after work when I get back home, okay? Because what we want to do is try and peak for one specific time of the year where we want to be as snappy as we can be off the ground. That's going to match up with our fitness being at its peak. And then we're going to run PBs, baby. Let's go. All right, I'll see you guys later. Okay, so there are 3 big mistakes that people make when they're starting plyometrics. And the first one, and the most common, is doing plyos when you're super fatigued. During the session, you need to make sure that you have long rest times because you're trying to maximize how snappy you can get off the ground. And if you're super tired, this is not gonna give you the same results in the session if you're just messing around having short breaks. This would be pretty similar to if you were to do like hill sprints, for example, and then you make the rest times really short and you turn a anaerobic workout into like a VO2 max workout, and the speed in which you can do the reps starts to drop down. You're going to do the same thing if you make your plyos too aggressive, and you're going to do the same thing to this if you don't do a couple of reps and then have a rest for a long period of time. 3 or so minutes is probably absolutely the best. Okay, next mistake is doing too much too soon. Going from no plyos all the way to doing counter movement jumps off a single leg, off like a 3-foot high box. There's got to be a progression towards that. Like you see these crazy Olympic like high jumpers and stuff, and the things that they do are incredible, but they've built that up over so many years. And even doing something simple like drop jumps and counter movement jumps and single leg hops off a box and things like that, that takes a long time to build up to, and you don't need that much plyometric stuff in your week to make a massive difference. Okay, the next thing is doing too much plyo stuff for too long. So there's a window of opportunity where you can get lots of benefit out of plyometrics, and then after that, it just becomes a massive injury risk. Like if you're spending a lot of time getting really stiff tendons and getting really snappy off the ground, that tends to result after a while without doing deloads and things like that in you getting injured. So those are the 3 mistakes. Don't make any of them. See you guys when I get home. Okay, welcome to the grind. Phase 1 is all about building the body's resilience to absorb harder training later down the line. So this is gonna match up pretty well with your base building program in your training. So we're gonna start with some standard jumps like I showed you before, some skipping, some double jumps. That's when you do 2 jumps in a row, and some hopping and landing. This is gonna kind of start to build the resilience in the tissues and the ligaments and the tendons and the bones to be able to take some load, get some reactive strength in there, but not too hard. This is only gonna last for 6 weeks, and it's going to be relatively low in volume. It's all about the quality of the movement and not the quantity. Now, phase 2, I'm gonna put this in your specific phase of training. So when you're starting to get that speed work in before you go to some more peaking related workouts. And so all we're gonna do is just bump up each exercise a little bit harder and a little bit more counter movement jumpy, but not quite there yet. So we got some banded hops, some single leg hops. And then we have this hamstring ply that I like to add into people's workouts. These are really good for your hamstrings, and they also mimic that initial contact of the ground that you tend to miss in training. And the last thing that we're gonna add in is the drop jump. Now the drop jump is actually the exercise that people were doing to drop 170 seconds off their 5K time. We're gonna talk about the one that did 300 seconds in a second. So let's just get to phase 3. It's all about peaking the body ready for training. This is gonna land right in that last 6 weeks of your training block before a key race. So what we're gonna do is try to get that maximal tendon stiffness and resilience to be able to absorb more and more training, get that snappiness off the ground. That's gonna be perfect for running really fast times. So the first one is repeated hops. The second one is broad jumps or broad hops, whatever you can manage. This is just doing a couple of repeated broad hops or broad jumps across, as far as you can. Then we're gonna have some hamstring pliers. We're just gonna make this one a little bit harder, a little bit faster and snappier. Now the counter movement jump, we need to make sure that this is really fast and really snappy off the ground. You don't have to get that high off the ground when you jump in, because it doesn't really matter. All that we're focused on is hitting the ground and getting off the ground and into the air as fast as we can. This is the best exercise ever. Okay, so there you go. You have a great idea of how to structure your plyometric training, but what we need to do now is add in the strength training, which I'm going to do tomorrow, like I promised that I would do on the weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.